Hello all, in this video we are going to solve question number 1 under simple numeric problems in JNTU R18 C language syllabus. For that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my terminal and I'll navigate to desktop, and there I'll create a new folder and I'll name it as question 1, and I'll navigate to question 1 and I'll open the same in VS Code. Now our VS Code is opened. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a file here, and I'm going to call it as minmax.c, and then I'm going to copy the question here and I'm going to comment it. I think looking at the question we can understand there is a little typo. Write a program to find the max and min from 3 numbers. The basic structure of a C program and how to read and write data from the console, I made a separate video, and check out the description for that video link. So I'm going to directly go ahead and start writing our C program. And for us to use printf and scanf, we need to include this header file. Okay, and then supposed to return 0, and every statement ends with a semicolon or semicolon, and we are supposed to read 3 numbers, right? So we'll declare 3 numbers and I'll call them as number 1 and number 2 and number 3. So I declare 3 variables, and I'll ask the user to basically enter to please enter 3 numbers. Okay, and then I'm going to read them. So as this is integer type, the format specifier would be %d. I'm going to read into number 1. So what we can do is we can actually have 3 scanf statements like this, or we can include them in a single statement like this. So in single scanf statement, I am reading these 3 variables. Okay, our program starts executing from line number 6, basically from the function main. So it declared 3 variables and comes here. It will ask the user to enter 3 numbers, and we are going to read the same into these 3 variables. Now we are going to write the logic, the proper logic here, using the if-else statements. Okay, again, I made a separate video about this if-else concept, decision making concept. Check out that video. I'll leave the link in the description. So here I'm supposed to check first if number 1 is greater than number 2, and also number 1 is greater than number 3. This means whatever the value that is stored in number 1 is greater than number 2 and greater than number 3. So in that case, what we are supposed to do is simply print %d is the maximum, and what we are going to show in %d, it's number 1. Okay, and now I'm going to write else if. So that's the plus point of using IDE. You can simply copy paste here. If my number 2, the value that is stored in number 2 variable, is greater than number 1 and number 3, okay, number 2 is greater than number 3, then my number 2 is maximum. Okay, and else if clearly it shows that in this case number 1 is greater, in this case number 2 is greater. Obviously, if these both conditions fail, number 3 is the maximum. Again, I'll simply copy paste, but here it's number 3. But basically, if you see, we are done with finding maximum, right? We are also supposed to print the minimum. So if this condition is true, okay, our control comes here. Okay, printf statement, %d is the maximum. This means here we got to know that number 1 is already maximum. right? So all we have to find out, number 2 and number 3, among these two numbers or between these two numbers, which one is the least. So again, I'm gonna write another if condition. If number 2 is less than number 3, okay, that means number 2 is the minimum, percentile D is minimum, else percent number 3 is minimum, here number 2 is minimum. That's it. So if number 1 is maximum, that clearly shows that either number 2 or number 3 is minimum. So that's why I wrote another if else condition, and I'm checking if number 2 is less than number 3. If number 2 is less than number 3, means number 2 is the minimum. So that's why I wrote printf statement here in this condition. Otherwise number 3 is minimum. So the same thing we can apply for other two blocks as well. So here I'll copy paste, here I'll copy paste, but here we need to tweak the logic a bit. Here already number 2 is maximum, so either number 1 or number 3 could be minimum. That's it. Percentile D is minimum, number 1, number 3, and here already number 3 is maximum, so number 1 or number 2 could be minimum. So I'll give number 1 and number 2. That's it. We are done with the code, and we'll try executing the program. Okay, I'm going to open the terminal, and let's see the command to compile and run the program. So it is gcc file name. So my file name is min underscore max.c -o, and the binary name I'm going to give is min-max. So the moment we compile it, this program that we have written will be compiled into a machine language code. Here you can see there is nothing here except for this .c file. So once we compile this, you'll be able to see the binary file coming up here. Let's go ahead and do it. Okay, you can see the min-max, and we can also understand one thing. As we compiled, we did not see any warnings and errors. That means our program is perfect. Okay, let's try to execute and check it out, what exactly is happening. To run the program, all we have to do is /, you're supposed to give min-max. Okay, enter. So it's asking to enter 3 numbers. I'm going to give 30, 20, 10. So 30 is max and 10 is max. It's fine, but the output is not pretty. Okay, so what we are going to do is I'm going to add new line for all these printf statements so that the output would be clean. Okay, I'm done adding new line to all printf statements. So again, we are going to compile the program, and again we are going to run it. This time I'm going 30, 20, 10. Yes, 30 is max, 10 is minimum. Again, here it is not clean. So what we're going to do is we are going to add another printf statement here. Simply added new line. So I'll again compile it, run it. So this time I'm going to give you some negative numbers, -80, -789. So -70 is maximum, -79, 789 is minimum. It's correct, our program is working fine. And also what we can do is, here the number of lines are more, right? So what we can do is, here this if else statement, we can actually convert this into ternary operator. So I made a separate video on ternary operator or operators. You can check out the link in the description. So to use ternary logic, what we're going to do is I'm going to create another variable, call it as int minimum, and here minimum equal to it's number 2, and then it's going to be number 3. That's it. So it's now became only single line, and we're going to remove this as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is, at last we are going to print here the same thing. Percentile D is the minimum, because our minimum will be stored in the minimum variable. So after the logic is executed completely, we are going to print the minimum here, but we have to make the necessary changes, same changes in other blocks as well. So we are supposed to change it accordingly. here if number 2 is maximum already, right? So what I'm going to do is either number 1 or number 3. So if it is, so number 1, number 3, that's it. Again, I'm going to copy here. The logic would be number 1 and number 2, and then number 1 and number 2. That's it. I'm going to delete this. The same thing, but the number of lines are less, so we'll compile it and execute it. So I'm going to clear it, compile, no errors. Okay, I'm going to give 55, 74, 12 or 21. Okay, so 74 is the maximum and 21 is the minimum. It's working fine. So again, I'm going to add another new line here so that the output would be nice. Again, I'm going to give some negative numbers, 10, 20, 30. So minus 10 is maximum, minus 30 is minimum. Why this new line has not come? Okay, we did not compile it. So the changes to be visible, we need to actually compile it. Minus 50, minus 74, minus 12. So now the changes are reflecting. Minus 12 is maximum, minus 74 is the minimum. Thanks for watching the video. If you like the content, please like the video, share and subscribe. It will motivate me to make more similar content.